All right. So I've had a lot of emails. Hey Nick, how are you, man? I've had a lot of emails in the past, whatever it's been, hour and a half, about spreadsheets. And so this is interesting. Is this a no, it's not a pre-planned stream, actually. This is live. It's a live one. Did a live feed a little while ago. We talked about spreadsheets relative to this cost per day nonsense, and what have you. And I thought, so what I've done is I have gone into, this was actually this is one of our very early spreadsheets. This is one of our very, very early spreadsheets. I've gone in and ripped out just changed a bunch of numbers, obviously for confidentiality reasons and all that kind of stuff. But I want to give you guys an idea of how you can run your business like a business. Now, let me start by saying, when you go to an accountant for a couple $100, you can walk away, or you should be able to walk away with something that's going to be obviously probably simpler for you guys than this. However, I want to just give you a flavor of what it might be like for those of you guys that run your business as a cost per day and guess versus, yeah, that's all you're trying to see. Look, there's my hand, woo, right? That's all you got to see. Trust me, you don't want to see my face on this one. But here's the thing, let's dive into this really quickly. All right, so humor me. So what if with your business, you had a spreadsheet and you literally could have this for a couple $100, and what you can see is your broker, each broker's name. You could have the load number. You can have a pickup date, right? When did you pick it up? Where was it shipped to? Where'd you pick it up at? Was there a second stop? Or in this case here, we've got a second and a third stop, it looks like. Where'd you deliver it to? Hang on, let me get rid of this. Where'd you ship it to? Where was the delivery? How many miles? What were the total miles for this run, including the Deadhead? Factor in your insurance, right? Yeah, exactly. Yukon, how are you, buddy? Insurance for truck, right? Throw in your numbers. Again, I've changed a lot of these numbers, right, for obvious reasons, but I want to give you guys a quick flavor. Health insurance. What's your invoice rate per mile, right? So you can know, again, this is just flat numbers here. Obviously, these would be different if these were real numbers. In this particular case, you can know what you are invoicing for each one of these trips. You can find out exactly how much each trip costs you. Now look, understand this, right? All you guys have to do is throw in a few numbers, and all these numbers are going to be automatically generated for you, right? All these numbers are going to be automatically generated for you. All you have to do is throw in a couple of numbers, right? You'll go in and you'll throw in a few of these kinds of numbers, right? Date, where to where, and you're gonna know what the mileage is, right? You're gonna throw in your Deadhead miles. You're gonna throw in the amount of the invoice, and a lot of these other numbers are gonna be automatically calculated for you. Throw in your fuel cost. Here's some fixed costs for ELDs. Were there any roadside costs? Here's the example of some of the miscellaneous trip costs. Okay, scale tickets. Right? You just throw in your number. Were there any tolls? You throw in the number. Did you have a truck wash or a washout? Throw that number in here. Okay? Trailer rental. Do you have a cost to that? Do you have a fixed cost? Do you have a lease payment? I just threw in rental, but whatever. Do you have a variable cost on that? Right? Do you have a variable cost to your trailer rental? Right? A cents per mile. If you do, all you have to do is throw in by throwing in the mileage over here on one of the other columns. All this stuff is automatically calculated. You don't have to figure this out. When you throw in the mileage, it says, hey, I already know, because there's a formula that says, hey, I drove X number of miles, so it's going to be $63.40. Look, on this particular run, we ran more mileage, so it's going to cost us more. This was a shorter trip. Maybe you've got a rental, a fixed cost, right? Here's the variable cost for the truck. Same for the trailer, or for the truck fixed, excuse me, the truck variable. A lot of guys have variable costs for mileage on that. Insurance, health insurance. Again, getting back to your invoice rate. So by throwing in literally just a few numbers, all this other stuff is automatically generated for you. Here's the really interesting part, right? So you can go in and you can figure out what your total revenue is, what your total cost for the trip is, all that sort of stuff. Here's where things can get really fun for you and your business. By only having to throw in a few numbers, here's what your business can look like on a day-to-day basis. Okay? Again, so what if it just by entering in just literally 3 or 4 minutes worth of numbers on that other on the other tab that I just showed you. All you have to, out of those numbers, this little snapshot is going to be created for you. So from that other numbers, this summary page is going to come up. It's going to tell you, hey, I drove 34,567 miles so far this year. My cost to run those miles was, again, right, these are random numbers, but here's my cost, $1.87. Here's my revenue. So that's going to leave you with a profit so far of this year literally to the run. This will be amended. Whenever you insert those numbers, it's all going to update these numbers. Same for here. So if you take your runs from the other tab, it's going to spit out right here, hey, again, this is an example, right? But again, whatever, John Smith, his cost per mile is $1.50. It's going to automatically tell you this is what your average invoicing rate per mile is, right? So in this case, $1.87. The difference of profit and loss per mile, 37 cents. Here's some cost, right? So the total cost is $1.07. Your revenue generated is $123. So your profit and loss is $15,847. You get a margin of 13 cents. Yeah, Yukon. That's over in the miscellaneous column. Whataburger, In-N-Out Burger, that's all on the miscellaneous column. Total miles, right? Again, guys, these are just random numbers. Red Dane, so cost per mile on Deadhead. Hang on a second, I couldn't see that. Yeah, so you can throw in, again, right? So when you throw in your fuel cost, it'll automatically tell you, based on the total miles, what your fuel mileage is. Okay? So let me get back to this really quick. So again, it'll show you the total miles you ran, what your percent of deadhead is. This snapshot will come up for you. It'll automatically be generated by you just throwing in 3 minutes worth of numbers. You think that would be valuable to know your business? You think that would be valuable to know you could actually run a business like a business, right? And it's just really simple. Again, you go back to your other tabs here. You can sort, right? You guys get, really, really basic stuff. You can go over and say, hey, look, I want to go over and I want to do a sort. Bear with me. I want to do a sort, and again, I've just got $1.80 as a number, but obviously all these rates would be different, okay? So I want to do a sort. You can go up and you can do a quick sort from high to low, and you can see, hey, whatever, in this particular case, I do a sort, and it's going to come up, hey, I made whatever, $2.50 per mile. And again, I've got this blown up so you guys can see it, but you would just glance over here and you would say, hey, guess what? That's ABC Broker. If you're really clever, I would throw in the brokerage. I'd have another column for the broker name and their stinking phone number. So you can call that broker and you don't have to stumble and bumble through any amount of paperwork. It's all right here. You can call Scott over at XYZ Brokerage. Hey Scott, we've hauled some loads for you before. What do you guys have? I'm in wherever, Kansas City. Guys, you can start to run your business like a business. You can see all your variables. Again, all you got to do, your accountant can create this spreadsheet for you for a few $100. All you're going to go in is you're going to throw in your total miles, some Deadhead miles, what you are invoicing for that trip, and then as you go along, you'll throw in your cost for fuel or DEF. You'll throw in cost for roadside, tires, all that maintenance, all that stuff is going to either be a fixed cost or a variable cost, right? So again, it's pretty simple. Exactly, right? I mean, you've got every run that you make, guys. Every single run that you make right here. It's all at your fingertips. Again, all right, these are all just like a bunch of random numbers, but again, right? What was the amount for each load? When were you going to invoice it? If you're not doing factoring or that kind of stuff, or some of this stuff is important to you, cool. When are you expected for that check to clear? Is it net 30? Is it net 15? Is it whatever? Here's your fuel cost. All you got to do is throw in literally a few numbers. It will take you less than 3 minutes. All this data can be generated for you. Okay? And so what's really handy, guys, if you want to run your business like a business, you come back over to your, and we even have it roll up, right? Again, so we have this is kind of a summary page. Boom, right? Here's our fleet average cost per mile. Again, that's not the right number, but I'm just kind of giving you examples. You can have quick snapshots, but for you guys, literally in this example, you can know right here at a glance from entering in 2.5, 3 minutes worth of data, all this stuff changes. If I were to go in and create a new line, I know I've kind of messed up all the formulas, but if I were to go in and create a new run from point A to point B for some number of miles, I threw in some fuel costs and what have you, all these numbers would change automatically, instantly. It's a pretty handy way to run your business. You know everything. So now, guess what? When you have these numbers, you can, yeah, Joe, I know. I'm trying to keep it focused in the screen and all this other jazz. But the thing, guys, is you can have a snapshot. You can know all your cost, all your profit. You can know every single thing about your business, fixed cost as well as variable cost. It's all right here, and it can all roll up to a summary page like this. Real time, every time you take a run. And as you start to look at these numbers, you can start to determine where your business can be better. You can start to work on Deadhead. You can improve your Deadhead. All these numbers. And again, this is just a really basic. This was like a generation, 1 for us. And so we have a lot more data now that we track, that we want to track. But this is a really basic example for you guys. You think this is a little bit more handy than, I don't know, maybe I think I need to make $400 today or $500. Yeah, it is. And again, this is like really, really basic stuff. You guys can have somebody make this up for you in probably a day or two for really cheap. You can know how much it costs, and then when you decide, hey, do I want to take this tollway or not? Well, what does it cost me to run my truck 1 mile? Well, it costs me $1.50, right? If you guys want, you can have your accountant. If you guys want to put the weight of the freight in here, and you want to take the formula that I gave you guys of 4.4%, you can use that, and it'll kind of show your profitability increasing. If you don't, otherwise you'll see more money in your profit the lighter load you take. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of variables that you guys can play around. Let's see. When you calculate your cost per mile, do you break out the variable and fixed cost? Yes. Right. So let me see here. Let me slide over. I got to keep this in the center of the screen so you guys can see it. Okay. So again, this is like really basic, but Where did it go? So fuel costs, right? So these are all variable costs that you're going to enter, okay? ELD, if you're going to take it by, so this dark bold line here is basically 1 month, okay? So if your ELD costs you whatever this would be, I don't know, $50, you have a fixed cost here. It's going to divide about by the month. So for every run that you take, if you took less runs, this number would be higher. If you took more runs, this number would be lower. Again, you don't have to worry about the formula. You just have to worry about this particular column. So yes, we have a fixed cost for ELDs. Roadside costs, I didn't put any in here, right? Again, I was just kind of ripping and replacing and stuff. To miscellaneous trip cost, right? There's Whataburger. Scales, right? In this case, I just put all the same number, but obviously this would be different. Same for tolls. So here's some variables. Here's where, so in this particular column, we've got a fixed and a variable cost included, right? We've got the trailer rental fixed cost as well as the variable. So basically what we've done is we've combined, in this case, we would be combining the trailer rental variable and the trailer rental fixed. Here's a truck rental, fixed cost, lease, whatever you guys want to have. Again, I just kind of threw some stuff. So here's your truck variable, and that's going to be different. Here's your fixed cost, right? It's going to break it out over some number of runs. This stuff's, again, here's some more fixed costs for insurance and that kind of stuff. So health insurance, right, whatever. So these would be variable costs, although it looks like it's a fix, but I'm just kind of throwing in different numbers. Here would be some examples of what your trip costs might look like, all right? They're all going to be different, predicated on some really basic 3 minutes worth of you guys entering in information. You're going to have yourself a snapshot that says, what's my cost per mile? What do I average invoicing? Because look, hey, as you make a quick glance at this, you're just like, man, 37 cents seems low. I need to do a better job when I'm negotiating with brokers or with customers. Those kinds of things. Here's something else that's really handy. I get this question a lot. Hey, when does rates from whatever, Washington or Florida, when do rates increase? Right? How can I learn as a new owner operator or a new lease operator? How do I know, right? Well, as time goes on, guys, you keep all this data. You create year-over-year information, right? Once you create year-over-year information, you can go back and look and say, whatever, stuff started to heat up in Ontario. You can sort by California, and you can start to see when rates increased. And because you track the date, you know, hey, look, things started to heat up out of Florida during this month. You basically kind of become your own database. You track all of your own information. It's pretty sexy. It just is. How nice would it be to know what your cost per mile is, how much you spent this year, how much you have in revenue, what your profit and loss is, what your margin, what your percent of deadhead, how many miles you've driven, what's your average invoice rate at a glance. So, guys, this is just a really basic early rendition. It just is. So, this is the kind of stuff that you guys can have access to for a couple $100. This is the kind of stuff that for 3 minutes you get data and you get input. You know where you stand. You know how to run your business. So I don't know if this is helpful to you guys. Again, right? Just some really basic stuff here, random numbers. But this is how you guys can be more successful. This will tell a story. Right? And again, this will be a much more interesting video, much more interesting story if I had real numbers. I'm not going to use our real numbers, but you can just tell a tremendous amount by looking at this for how you run your business. Yeah, Excel is worth it. It really is. Let's see, Red Dane asks, when will empty not be cost effective based on time and loads per week for owner operator? Yeah, I'm not really sure what you asked. So if you're talking about Deadhead, yeah, again, right, you know what your cost is, right? You guys can factor that. Again, going back to that formula of for every 10,000 pounds, it's 4.4%. Right, so you take your cost per mile once you know it, then you can factor 4.4% for every 10,000 pounds of freight that you don't have, and you can know, hey, here's what it's going to cost me approximately to Deadhead. You don't have to guess. You don't have to guess at all. Guys, this is, let's see, Jennifer's asking, when owner-operators are behind, cost it won't do any good, right? When you are behind, no, it won't. And that's what I'm saying is, this isn't predicated on what's a day, right? Is it 24 hours? Is it 14? Is it 11? Is it all that stuff? This is predicated on every mile that you run, whether you are Deadhead or whether you are loaded. It's predicated on every cost of your business. Oh, sorry, okay, Jennifer, thanks. So you don't have to guess anymore. You can treat your business like a business. You can throw a salary in there, right? So yes, you know, what are your expenses at home, right? What do you want to make? What do you want to take home? And you factor that in, okay? So in this particular case, right, we've already got salaries factored into this. Absolutely, Lee. Yeah, I mean, look, so I've ripped all these. So this is, Lee, this was a very early rendition of ours. So what we have here is, again, I've got John Smith's and John Smith's and John Smith's, right? And just all these different random numbers, right? Running a loss. I've messed around with a lot of formulas and just thrown a lot of different numbers. But yeah, for a small fleet, exactly. This is the summary page for every single truck. So in this page, this guy's $1.50, invoicing rate's $1.87. He's averaging 37 cents a profit. In this example, $1.27 is their cost per mile. Their invoicing rate's $1.56. They're profiting 29 cents a mile, 6% Deadhead. Right, again, right, a lot of really random numbers here for the year, but yes, for guys that want to run small fleet, here you go, right? So that would be a really good way to run it. And again, it all rolls up. It all rolls up into whatever number you want. So again, if you're just looking at one box, these could be your numbers. If you had a small fleet, your accountant would have these numbers all roll up for, again, each truck, right? Here's each truck right here. This box could roll up to your entire fleet. If you got 2 trucks or 22 trucks or 222 trucks. So you bet. So Barb says the point is you can and will use these numbers to see what your absolutely what your bad habits are, right? Again, are you deadheading too much? Are you, are you burning? I mean, again, you guys can get as detailed as you want with your accountant. Right, and our stuff is a lot more detailed now. Again, this was kind of just rendition 1, throwing some stuff up there to see where we wanted to take the spreadsheet. But you can start to look at your fuel costs, right? All those sorts of things, you can determine where your bad habits will jump out at you, right? And again, a lot of that will be seen over here. So it is just it's just a really valuable tool to know all your entire costs. Right, where you're running, how many miles, how many deadhead, your fixed costs, your variable cost. And again, you can have all this in just a few minutes of you guys entering the data. This is a much better way to have a snapshot of your business versus simply guessing at what you need to make per day. You don't have to guess on anything. You know to the penny where you're at. So how is this going to help you improve your business? Well, there's a lot of ways, right? You can tell your bad habits, but you can also begin when you go back and you'll know this number. You'll know your cost per mile, whatever it is, by heart. Okay, you'll know what you're averaging here, right? But when a broker calls, right, and you know that your cost is $1.50 a mile, and you run the mileage from point A to point B, whatever it is, you know at $1.50 a mile what it's going to cost you to run that trip. And again, in this $1.50 a mile, your salary's in there, your miscellaneous costs, your fixed costs, your variable costs, right? All these things to ensure that you are running a profit is built into this $1.50. Maintenance, it's in there. All this stuff is already built into this cost. That way you know what your true cost is. As long as you're making, at least this amount of money per mile, you're going to pay yourself the salary, you're going to put some money in maintenance. All those things are going to be taken care of, right? And then when you take the run of 1,000 miles, if you bid it at 1,500, you can assume, hey, guess what? I'm going to break even, but I'm still going to have enough money to pay myself a salary. I'm still putting a little bit back for maintenance. I'm still covering some of these other costs, right? Because it's already into that number. And then you can say, look, on a 1,000-mile run from point A to point B, I'm willing to do that run for $2,000, $2 a mile. In that case, your invoicing rate's going to increase a little bit. Your profit and loss is going to increase. Your profit numbers down here are going to increase. Your deadhead may or might not increase. It depends on how long, how many miles you have to go to get that run. So it's just really valuable information. It allows you to make these business decisions accurately with with a great level of detail, and it allows your conversation with a broker not to be a guesstimation. You know exactly where you're at, you know exactly what you need to have, and you can make a quality business decision when you're on the phone with that broker of whether or not you want to take that run or not, or continue to pound the phones and find a better run. All just within minutes. And I promise you, you will know your number like your social security number. You will begin to know all of these numbers, right? Fuel discounts, all that stuff can be thrown into your spreadsheet. It is a really valuable tool. This is how you, at a minimum, again, this is really basic, right? This is how you want to run a trucking business. You don't want to be going cost per day $500. It's just, again, if you're running really local short stuff, yeah, maybe. But if you're running regional or long haul, you want to know these kind of numbers. If you're an owner operator, you bet. Guess what else? If you guys use a dispatching service, you still want to throw in all these same numbers, right? You still want to throw in all these same numbers. And guess what? You can determine how well your dispatching service is doing. You pay them on a percentage of the load, or do you pay them a flat percentage? All this stuff is available at your fingertips. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do this for $200. I don't know why you wouldn't want this kind of information available at your fingertips. I just don't. Why you would want to sit there and say my cost per day and not have access to any of this, it just seems like a really silly idea to me. When for $250 you can have all this data, all this information at your fingertips 24/7, you can. The best part about this is if you really want to get into speculating your business, you can take this spreadsheet, they can create another tab for you, and you can begin to play with, hey, what do I have to do to achieve more money? If you've got your base salary in here at $60,000, if I want to make $85,000, what am I going to have to do? You can start playing around with numbers really easily, changing them to say, you know what, I'm going to have to stay out a little bit longer. I'm going to have to run harder. I'm going to have to be more selective on my loads. I'm going to have to increase my profit margin. I'm going to have to reduce my cost per mile. Whatever it is, you can mess around with all these numbers to determine these types of things. How do I increase my fuel discounts? How do I reduce my fuel burn? You'll know, right? You'll know all these things, right? Maybe all of a sudden you start to look. Here's another thing, right? For a lot of you guys that run reefer or whatever. I mean, you're tracking your trailer washouts, all that sort of stuff, big stuff. Again, tolls, scales. Here's your miscellaneous. You got roadside cost, your fuel variables. It's all in there. What you're paid for each run. Deadhead miles. It's all there. Guys, this is just a really, again, right, a couple $100. And this might look really intimidating because it might look like there's just tons and tons of data. There's not. I mean, there's some data in here for sure, right? And a lot of fictitious numbers. But this is not rocket science. This is not. I mean, all you're doing is entering in a few numbers. And by entering in a few numbers, a lot of these other costs are going to change. And then when you get over to your summary page, it's going to amend all this for you instantaneously, right? Instantaneously. And so if you're an owner operator, spend the money, right? Get with a guy that can help you create something similar to this, more tailored to you, but similar to this. Use this as the cornerstone for making your business more profitable. Don't guess. So I hope this is helpful to some of you guys. Hey, Loshan, how are you? So, Loshan, this is kind of a very early, this is kind of our first generation spreadsheet that we started to create to begin tracking our cost per mile spreadsheet. So our cost per mile spreadsheet looks very different than this. It's much more robust, but I'm just kind of giving a quick example of a synopsis sheet. So for those of you guys that are coming in late, I'll give you guys one. I'll just kind of run through it once more. So if you're a driver, you're going to type in your broker name, maybe the load number. If I were you guys, I would include not just the brokerage, but the broker's name and their phone number here. When you're going to pick it, where's it picking from? Where's it delivering to? What is the total number of miles on that run, including your deadhead? What the amount is you're being paid on the load. You got your fuel cost. So literally, Loshan, by just throwing in a few numbers, fuel and some mileage, what's going to happen is a lot of your other numbers are going to be roll up into a summary page. I'll show you in a second. If you got ELDs, here's a fixed cost for that. If you got any roadside costs, you can throw it in. Any miscellaneous costs you can throw in. Scales, again, I've just thrown in random numbers. Tolls, truck washes. You've got fixed and variable for your trailer, right? So for guys that are renting a trailer or leasing one, and then they pay cents per mile, your accountant can make this make your fixed cost be in here, as well as, if I'll slide over one more, if you throw in whatever, if you're paying some cents a mile, when you throw in over here in this other this number here, your deadhead miles, it will change your variable. So if you're being charged whatever 6 cents a mile for your trailer, it'll automatically update that. If you got a truck rental or a lease or whatever it may be, right? I've just kind of thrown in randomness here. That's going to be a fixed cost, right? Again, the fixed. So this number will be divided by the number of runs you take, at least on our spreadsheet. For yours, it may be different. If you pay on your truck rental or your truck lease, if you have to pay mileage, again, this will automatically calculate based on the numbers of this load. It'll automatically change it. You only have to throw in just a few numbers for all these numbers to be generated and spit out. If you got a fixed cost for your insurance, health insurance, it'll tell you what you're invoicing. Anyway, so I'm getting back over to the summary page. This is kind of what your business so by throwing in 3 or 4 minutes worth of numbers and getting really detailed stuff on another page, this is what your summary page might look like. Hey, you're right, you drove 34,000 miles. It's cost you $187,000 to do that. Your revenue might have been, 230, again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just throwing in numbers. Your P&L would be 47 grand almost. But you could come down here and say, hey, look, my cost per mile is $1.50. My invoicing rate is $1.87. That's what your average, per mile rate is that you're getting from the brokers or the loads. That means you're profiting 37 cents a mile. Again, just percentage of deadhead. All this kind of is a summary of the details that you put in over here. So again, I don't care what your spreadsheet looks like, just have one, right? Just have one that you can pull together this data. Oh, you can't see the field title? Sorry, let me push this back up. Does that help? I don't know. So I'll leave this video up. I mean, again, this is just like an example, right? Yours might be very different or similar, kind of stuff. Does that help? Is that better? So, and again, right, the value, guys, is, you know, when you have your brokerage details over here, you know what brokerage, you know what their number is, who you dealt with. So when you slide over to the right and you want to know, you want to know all this, you want to know who paid you well, you can do a quick sort and say, look, I've been getting higher rates by this brokerage. You can come over here and sort by the broker to tell you, hey, what are the average rate? The various tabs, these are just different driver tabs for specific runs. Again, I just took this guy's numbers and I blanked a lot of stuff out, changed a lot of numbers just for confidentiality reasons. But you can have other tabs for whatever you want. But I would just keep it, again, you can have it really simple. You can have it really simple. But again, ultimately what'll happen is you'll enter in your data into that other tab and it'll just come up to a summary page. And you'll know right here where you're at to the minute every day. Every time you go in and you change some numbers, this will automatically change for you. Really simple. So I'm being redundant at this particular point because, again, this is so simple. There's nothing crazy. $1.27. Okay, so this is just another example. So this is just another, right, John Smith, right? So these are cost per mile. And again, I just changed random numbers, Loshan, because I didn't want to use our numbers. I mean, again, right, this guy did not drive 170,000 miles in a year, right? So these are just random numbers. But so if you had a small fleet, right, here's a good summary page. You can see where every driver is at. This guy is costing you $1.50. This guy's doing a hell of a lot better. He's at $1.27, right? What's interesting though, his cost per mile is better, but look, he's not profiting more. Is that because he's running in Florida a lot or the Southeast where rates are typically lower? Again, you can just start to assess a lot of things in your business with a spreadsheet. And again, you can have this for a couple $100. And all you guys are going to be entering in is 3 or 4 minutes worth of data, and it's all going to change. It's all going to populate for you, so on and so forth. And again, I'm not saying use this exact spreadsheet. I'm just saying use one. Don't run your business with an example of, I need $500 a day. Be better than that, right? Be better than that. I can tell you what, the simple fact of getting this spreadsheet and starting to use it, what I suspect will happen is, if anything, just a change in mentality of, you start to feel like a business person. You start to look at things differently. You start to be more focused on the details of your business to improve it, to put more profit in your pocket. So look, 40-minute video is too long really on this. Again, I kind of ran through it twice. Let's see, Arizona, you're asking, do you input each load into, do you input each load to determine if you want to take the load? So Arizona, you could, but truthfully, you really wouldn't even need to, because what will happen is, so let me tell you how I use this. So when I dispatch, so I go in here and I say, okay, I'm going to dispatch for whatever, Loshan. And Loshan's cost per mile is $1.50. So I'm going to look on whatever, the load board. And the load board is going to say, it's going to pick up in Kansas City and it's going to deliver to whatever, San Diego. And I'm going to run the quick miles on Google, and I'm going to say whatever, it's 2,000 miles. Okay, so I know how much money. I'm going to multiply 2,000 miles by $1.50. Okay, so it's going to tell me, hey, my cost to run this, for Loshan to run that 2,000 miles is going to be whatever that is, 3,000. So I know that I've got to be at least bidding 3,000. Now again, for you guys as an owner operator, your $1.50, that's got a salary already built in for you. It's got maintenance costs built in for you. All that sort of stuff. You don't have to worry about calculating and guessing. It's already built in. It's right there. Okay? So you can say, look, I've got to bid at least, whatever, $3,000 for that load. So that's a break even. All right? So if I get 4,000, cool, I'm going to make $1,000 on that run. So it just simplifies your business. It makes dealing with brokers quick, easy. Right? It allows you to make business decisions so quick, right? And you guys know as well as I do, when you're looking for a load or trying to book a load early in the morning, when loads are popping on the board and they're popping off, or that 2 o'clock rush, you don't have a lot of time to sit there and guess, right? You already know, man. It's like boom. And for you guys that are always, you guys don't even probably have to run the mile. Well, I would still, but some of you guys know the lanes and the exact mileage, right? So it's even quicker for you guys. So that's how I use it, right? Amongst a whole lot of other stuff. But again, this is like rendition 1. The one we have now is far more complex than this and a lot larger. But I just stripped out a lot of stuff to give you guys a quick example of what one might look like and the value to you, right? So it's really simple, it's really valuable, and it's really cheap. It just is. So guys, I don't know, let me jump up and I'll try to address a few questions. If you guys have any, ask now, otherwise we're going to shut down pretty quick. Let's see, the tabs are the details for each truck. Yes, that's correct, Joe. That was each driver's, that's each driver's runs, right? So in this case, that's what this guy has kind of been doing, right? And so that's kind of what we're looking at. You're welcome, Robert. What's the time frame for your cost per mile? Is it monthly? So that's a good question. So the way that we roll, so I guess if you're familiar with spreadsheets, I'll answer this question. Otherwise, this could be confusing for some. So we track it, we'll track it per mile. So every time you enter in a load, it'll amend, okay? But not to get too complex, but we use some of our fixed costs on a monthly basis, right? So if you come over here and you look at your truck rental or your truck lease, so this bold line right here would be is the month, right? So whatever this is, January, I guess. So this guy took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 runs in January. Okay, so this will take whatever your cost may be for your truck rental for the month, and it would, divide it out over 8 runs for the month. Again, that's a really high fixed rate, but again, I just threw in a bunch of random numbers. So it's a little bit of a combination of both is the short answer to your question. Okay? But again, you got some variable costs in here that you can use as well. So I hope that kind of answers your question. I'm not sure. So it's a little bit of both. But the nice thing about this is it updates real time over to your summary page. So every time you put in a load, every time you put in some fuel costs and those sorts of things, it'll update for you. Professor says, what's good about a spreadsheet? You can have, yes, absolutely right. Year over year is really valuable data. You can have year over year data in there. This year to last year, you bet. Okay, again, right, you'll have the spreadsheet for years, right? And you'll know how you're performing. You'll know cost of fuel is changing. You'll know, it'll help you determine lanes, rates. Again, who are some of your better paying brokers? When you start to sort by California last year, if you ran some California runs, you can kind of start to see when does California get hot. If you're new to the market and you don't really understand that, you can share some of that information with a new driver. Or you can share that information with other people if you want. So, anyways, guys, get a spreadsheet. It's really valuable. You don't have to guess. You know to the penny. right? And then the other thing is you can begin to calculate if you have a short run, right? So you say, hey, if your cost, let's just use a round number, if your cost is $1 per mile and you have a short run that's going to be 200 miles, well, you don't want to bid that at $200, right? You know that you can run 600 miles in a day, and normally you would that cost would be $600. You would normally make a few $100s worth of profit. So that's what you want to bid that. Now you want to get into the component of bidding your time on those really short runs, right? Again, it's just really simple stuff. Just really simple, but it's all right here. It's all right in front of you. And again, you'll know these numbers. Yeah, I mean, out west gets sketchy at times, and it doesn't matter if it's flatbed, step deck, reefer. I mean, it all kind of gets sketchy at times. But Loshan says that's why he doesn't run out there a lot. You know, he's learned that once he gets out there, his cost per mile is probably worse, I'm sure. So, like I said, guys, it just really allows you to see the details of your business and where you're doing well and where you suck and where you can improve. Shows you everything you want to know about your business. And again, this is just like a really basic early rendition for us, but take that for what it's worth. Deadhead, between a drop and a pick, will it be its own line item as a separate trip? Yes, for us it is. For us it is, right? Let me see if I can run back over there really quick. So there's total miles including Deadhead, and Deadhead's right next to it, right? So again, I think I left these miles. I think I left the miles and the trips accurate. So if you guys were to run Willsboro, New York to Foley, Alabama, it's probably going to be 1,585 miles, give or take. And in this particular case, the driver had to drive 103 miles to get to Willsboro, New York, if that makes sense. So yeah. And so he finaled out in Foley. He deadheaded 167 miles, I guess, over to Collins, Mississippi to go to San Diego, which was a 1,922-mile run. Robert, that's a great question, man. I don't know why. I don't know why you would want to take a chance for all the risk, as I said many times in videos, right? For all the risk that you guys take, all the miles that you run, all the family time that you guys miss, why you would want to guess at a cost per day when you could have this for $200. I mean, literally, ask yourself this question. If you're a guy that runs cost per day, how much more detail, how much money do you think you could determine that you were leaving on the table without this information? I would be willing to bet a cost per day guy would probably repay himself quickly for the $250 or whatever it would cost to have somebody create this spreadsheet. I would be willing to bet the return on that investment would be really quick once they had this level of detail to their business, right? So, and you're right, Barb, it does take all the guessing out. So, guys, here's the thing, right? Your accountant will be able to set this up for you. They really will. They really will. And it's not complex for them. They think in this manner already. Again, just make sure you're getting someone that's in the transportation space that knows it. They can help you guys with this. This will be second nature to them. The chances are that they probably already have one of these for other clients. And the fact that you offer them $100, they'd probably be happy to sell it for $100. Okay? So, like I said, I suspect you might be able to get this cheaper. Nothing to it, guys. Literally, you're throwing in a few numbers, and those numbers are going to update and change a bunch of other numbers. Brad, I'm going to wrap it up because we're getting long. Catch it on the recorded side. We're just talking about the spreadsheet. I'm giving you guys an example of an old one of ours, one of the first ones we kind of put together, and that kind of stuff. I don't want to sell it, James. I don't. I'm not here to make money off of drivers. I'm not. So, and the next thing is, if you guys screw something up or you guys foul up a formula or whatever, I don't want the phone calls. So, and you can't really, right? Because if you foul something up, all you got to do is close it, don't save it, open it back up again. So you're good. In the event. God dang it, LeSean, I don't want you stinking money, man. Next time you're out in Phoenix, well, you don't run out west. If you run out to Phoenix, I'll buy you a beer with your $10. LATX says, not knowing your numbers is like the guy that runs 80 everywhere. Everywhere he goes does not worry about fuel mileage. Yeah, that's right. So, like I said, man, I don't want your money. I just want you guys to be successful, and this is a way for you guys to be successful. This is a way for you guys to analyze your business, learn where you suck, learn where you're great, and improve. It will tell you so much about your business. Part of me, I really wish that I would share some of our numbers, because I could have probably a 3-hour, or a 3-part series, an hour piece, and going over this data and talking specifically about how you can look at this and analyze this to be better. So, but like I said, I'm not going to do that. But the point is, you need to be having this kind of conversations with an accountant. The point is, this is how you get more profitable. This is how you go from making, whatever you're making now to another $15,000 or $20,000 in your pocket. And you guys, here's the great thing about this. As far as the analysis goes, you guys live, eat, and breathe this stuff all day long. So while this looks like a lot of numbers and it might be really intimidating, it's going to make really obvious sense when you guys start looking at it, because you guys live this stuff all day long, especially if you're a lease op or an owner op. So this is not going to be complex for you. So YouTube will teach you how to use Excel. Yes, it will, Arizona. Right. You're absolutely right. So anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I really didn't think, I figured this was going to be like a 20-minute video, but I hope this helps, gives you guys a sense. I hope what you guys do is spend the next day or two kind of thinking about, what kind of stuff you would want in your spreadsheet, reaching out to your accountant, and talking about that stuff. Yeah. Who was that? Brian? Sorry about that. This will drastically eliminate the amount of money that you guys leave on the table. It really will. It will just give you an insight to your business that some have never seen, right? And it's really simple, right? You'll go in here, you go into this tab, you'll make a few changes, and all these numbers will amend automatically. You'll know how much money you made. It's just really sexy. It's really cool. It's as cool and as sexy as numbers can be. But it's your business. It's what you guys put your life on the line for. It's what your families rely on you for, so on and so forth. So, guys, I hope this helps. I really do. As always, if you guys are out there, be safe and use a spreadsheet to make more profitable miles. Hope this helps, guys. Grind on it. Think about it. Reach out to some accountants. Be diligent in the guys that you talk to. Ask a lot of questions. How many transportations they work for? Are they really solid with Excel? And most any accountant will be. Tell them what you're looking for, and make sure that you have the opportunity to make some some addendums and some changes and that kind of stuff. All right, guys. As always, be safe. Just my opinion. This side of the steering wheel. Go get some profitable miles. Take care.